So the first thing we're going to take a look at today, chat, is recently Styx, as I said before, posted a video. Will Wuthering Waves succeed or fail? And I thought it might be fun to go over this, check out what some of the other content creators have said. I think there's like 12 or 13 different content creators who were asked to be part of this video, myself included. And so I figured I'd like to go in and see what are the other content creators saying about the game, what are their takes on it, and see if anybody said anything kind of a little bit goofy, a little bit off base, if that makes sense. So I want to go in. Without further ado, let's find out if other content creators are based like me or not based, and they absolutely suck. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's gonna be great. I'm sure it's gonna be great, chat. I'm sure nobody said anything incredibly stupid. I might have, but let's find out. Let's find out.
Be a monolithic success or a catastrophic failure? That is the question on everyone's minds right now. Both ardent fans of the game and absurd, baseless haters. Yes, Wuthering Waves is going to be an.
I think what we're gonna do. This is a long video. Chat, we're gonna try something today. We're gonna play this at a slightly increased speed, okay? Just a slightly increased speed, and hopefully y'all can keep up with it. I'm an insane degenerate where I watch like some content at like 1.75 or sometimes even 2 times speed. So sometimes watching videos at real-time speed like absolutely like fries my brain. Like I think I've been at, like unfortunately training my brain to be like needing way more stimulation, which probably isn't good for the long term, but I mean, look, it's here we are. So
unquestionable success. The degree of success Wuthering Waves achieves ultimately depends on how you define success.
I do. I think I do. It is definitely going to give some competition to some other games for sure.
It depends on what success means to you. But to me, I think, yes, I think launch month, launch 2 months, probably 3 to 6 months, definite success. It'll have a massive player base.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
Oh, it's the boy EO. I don't know who this is. I'm sorry. I don't know who this is. Do you guys know? If there are some content creators in here I don't recognize, I apologize. I don't have all the time to watch in the world to watch everybody, okay? So if there's some people in here that you guys may know and I don't know, feel free to let me know in chat, because I'm not familiar with everybody here.
I don't think that's the case. However, I do think that it will succeed in terms of as a gacha game.
I believe Wuthering Waves will 100% succeed.
Absolutely.
Connor, I wish you the best. And I'm a billion% sure that the best birthday gift will be the release of Wuthering Waves. Oh, heck yeah. I hope so. I think it was Kayonza before, and look, it's Life.
Absolutely. Without a shadow.
The man.
I do think
myth,
they'll
legend.
succeed. I'm actually very positive that they will succeed.
Is that Oofy? Am I crazy? Am I mixing? I think I'm mixing people up. That's not Oofy. Oh, I feel so bad. Who is this? What's her name? Yeah, absolutely, it's going to succeed. Oh, who's this guy?
No, I think Wuthering Waves will succeed.
Absolutely. I think it will maybe not be as
Legions
popular and make as much money as Genshin, but I think it definitely will compete with it.
Man, Legions is so funny. I was on a call with Legions the other night, and it was absolutely hilarious. Okay, hold on. We got everyone's tags here. Okay. Oh, Oofy. Okay. Oofy, my Vulcan. Oh, it's in order. So the first person was Oofy. Oh, okay. Sorry. I mixed people up. So it was Oofy, my Vulcan, EO, me, Legion. Okay, it's not in order. I'm just dumb. Legions, Loba, Ryu, Milky, Life, and Kayonza. Okay. So one of them's one of them's Oofy, and I can't remember who, and now I feel really bad. I feel really bad. I feel like I should know that. I feel like it's important for me to know other content creators in this space. So I feel like when I fail to do that, that's I feel bad about it. Okay, I feel bad about it. Wuthering Waves will succeed, and even if the useless side of Genshin community wants it to or not, it will succeed. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think so. That's why I said it in the video.
Wuthering Waves is 100% going to succeed, and a lot of people don't. I don't think no one's gonna admit it. I don't think it will kill Genshin, but it's gonna hurt it a bit. I really think so.
Yeah, I think I've been shifting a little bit recently, to be honest. Like, I know we just started, but I've been shifting a little bit recently, and I was saying a lot before that like Wuthering Waves, yes, is not going to kill Genshin. 100% not going to kill Genshin. Don't believe anybody who's going to tell you that it's going to kill Genshin. But the more that this has continued, the more that the hype has been like getting built up, and the more people that I see getting interested in this game. If it delivers on the promises that it's made, it's gonna be big, guys. I'm telling you, it's gonna be big. It's 100% gonna be big. So let's keep going.
I sat down with a group of my friends, Wuthering Waves creators that got to play the game, that have a history with the game and will be creating content on it to
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we are, baby. Let's go.
The title asks. Their questions were surprising. If you're looking to stay up to date with Wuthering Waves content, these are the people to follow. Go show them some love by following them. Their socials are located down below. Evidently, a lot of people are
I guess that was that list of the socials there. Yeah, so it's just like a tag to the YouTube video. All right, cool. Thanks, Sticks. I appreciate it.
Very excited to play the game. We're closing in on 32 million pre-registrations, and Kudo haven't even hit
30
for
32 guys, and we still have, at the time of recording, like 5 days to go.
advertising yet. Wait until the game actually launches. I think, however, the level of
Yeah, it's
success
gonna blow
that Wuthering
up.
Waves will achieve is
It's gonna
dependent
blow
on
up,
whether
I'm
they can
telling you.
deliver enough quality content with as few game-breaking bugs as possible. Tower of Fantasy could have been a success had its devs been a competent studio. Kudo, on the other hand, have proven themselves with Punishing Gray Raven, at least after the first several months of release, that they not
I am gonna have to interrupt on that one. I think I've been convinced. I was a person who, admittedly, I previously was comparing Wuthering Waves to Tower of Fantasy, but I think I've been convinced that I don't think it's a fair one-to-one comparison. I do think with it being an MMO experience, not a single player experience, I just, it's not the same. Also, the same kind of like time gated nature of like a lot of the functions in Tower of Fantasy were not the same, because it like legitimately was like preventing you from doing a lot of like exploration. Yeah, I just think overall it's not a great comparison, an MMO to a single RPG experience. However, I do think there are still some comparisons that you can make, but yeah, it's not the same. But let's keep going.
not only know what they're doing, but they're efficient and they care about their community. This is what separates both Honkai, Star Rail, and Genshin Impact. One game cares about their community, the other doesn't. And as long as that care is evident in their work, I think Kudo have a big hit on their hands. But let's go ahead here and see what everyone else has to say.
Yeah, like, again, like, just to reiterate, like, if I'm looking at the transparency of the developer of Kuro Games and what they've done so far, like with the dev live streams, with the feedback that they've been accepting, they completely reworked the story. Like, they're doing so much to continue to foster that goodwill for the community that it, like, I have a lot of confidence in what Kuro's building up at this point. I like the only thing so far that was kind of like that was disappointing, or like a legitimately disappointing thing, was the shift in their banner system from what they did in PGR to what they have in Wuthering Waves. Like, because PGR, like, if you played PGR, you know you got spoiled by the banner in PGR because it was like 60 pulls to pity. You could basically guarantee every new character. If you played the events and you played your dailies and you did your weeklies, you basically could guarantee every new character that you wanted to get. Whether that be like the A rank or the S rank characters, which is like the equivalent of like a 4 or 5 star. And so once you go from that to a game where you're probably gonna have to start picking and choosing a little bit more, like it is depressing. Like, look, let's call a spade a spade. When you gotta switch back from having like that like great experience with a gacha game and its banner to backing off into something else, it's like, yeah, that kind of hurts. But I mean, that's a pretty small step, and I will say overall still is not nearly as bad as a lot of other gacha game banners. That's definitely for sure. What's up, Crapapomono? I probably mixed that up, but thanks for coming. Appreciate you coming on in.
Advertising. That was one thing that I've noticed among all the other gacha games, because there's been so many gacha games that's come out recently. However, Wuthering Waves sets themselves apart because of their marketing and advertising, and they're like trying to target a certain gaming community, which would Genshin, not to name names. I don't know if I should or not, but
look, I don't blame what she did there. I a little bit of a spoiler. I did something similar to mine. I gotta know though. I'm sorry. Is this Oofy? It is Oofy. Okay. Thanks. I just needed to confirm. I'm so sorry, Oofy. If you ever happen to see this or pop in, I apologize. I'm still learning a lot of names, okay? But no, I see what she was doing there with like kind of like something like, should I say something? Should I do that? Like, I don't know. Like I said, peek behind the screen. I might do something similar, but I feel like I do it in a more comedic way when we get to my part. We'll see.
But they're definitely trying to target the Genshin player base, and I think that's a smart thing to do, because that's a huge player base, and it's good. It looks really good because it's a gacha game that's similar to Genshin, but blows Genshin out of the water with so many quality of life things and stuff like that. So I think with the advertising, and because it's very similar to Genshin, I think it's going to do really, really well.
Hey, look, I'm next. What a time to pause it. No, I agree with what Ufi's saying. I think absolutely the crossover of player base between the two games is like near 1-to-1. Like, it's almost like an exact player base crossover. I think the only people that I think basically will never leave, like I think there's a portion of the community that will never leave, and I think it's the cost sunk fallacy people, the people who've dropped like tons of money on Wuthering Waves, not Wuthering Waves, the people who've dropped tons of money on Genshin, who have gotten a bunch of different characters, bought tons of battle passes, daily passes. Like, you know, if you're in on Genshin for like hundreds of dollars over 3 years is very possible, very easy to do, especially if you're buying battle passes and monthly passes regularly. Like if you feel like you're like hundreds of dollars in, creeping up on $1,000 even potentially, if you've bought in a couple packs as well, like I could totally see being like disheartened or like sensitive to like, oh, do I really want to like leave this account? Like I've got so much invested into it at that point. 100% I could see those people being like, they're the people probably next to the shippers, the people who think the characters really are their boyfriends and girlfriends, that they're the people who are never going to leave the game if I had to isolate them. So I would say don't even bother with them though. Don't even bother with those people trying to convince them to come over. There's no point. There's no value add in trying to do that. I think it's just a waste of time and resources. I think they will that's just something they're going to have to mourn and get over on their own time. And I think the only thing that will get them to do that is probably FOMO. Once enough people have switched over, then eventually it'll kind of break down. But again, that's not going to happen anytime soon. I still think Genshin's going to keep going on. So I really don't think it's going to be a problem in that way. But let us continue on. What do I say? What is this big old idiot? Or wait, this way. What's this big old idiot about to say? Who's this guy? Frick's sakes. I think Wuthering Waves is going to succeed for 3 different reasons. I think one of the reasons is combat. The second reason is the world building. And the third reason is the music. I think the combat is... I agree. Insanely fun, has some incredible depth, and gives an opportunity for either hyper-competitive players. I'll just let myself talk for a minute
and
go real sweaty and try hard with it, but also in the team building element of it, allows people who may not have quite the skill to push the game that you can over-gear and you can over-prepare and clear it like you would with like a Dark Souls boss, where yeah, maybe you can clear it, 15 levels under if you've got the skill for it, but if not, you can still build up your characters, you can still bring the team and still have the opportunity to clear it. So I know a lot of people talk about the competitive nature of it and the hardcore combat and bosses, but I do still think it is going to be casual friendly for people, and I think because it kind of hits both of those audiences in a good way, it's going to grab a lot more players. I think the second part of it too is the world building. I agree, Connor. This is the weirdest, like, I don't know, like glaze. Am I self-glazing right now? That sounds weird. A lot of people have been kind of criticizing it as like, it's okay. It's a 6 out of 10. And maybe sure, in a broad market storytelling scale, it's not quite up there, but especially as far as gacha games are concerned, it's got way more depth and engagement built into the story than most other games on the market. They have actual in-game rendered animations. They have rendered cinematics that are into it that really bring you into the world, as well as a lot of the characters each have their own kind of backstory and depth to them. Like they brought it with Scar in the closed beta test. And it left some seeds for me that left me incredibly excited to go into the story a little bit deeper. But I think the third reason for it too is actually the music and audio production for the game. Well, there was definitely some feedback we had from close. Wow, this guy just won't stop yapping. Holy crap, who is this guy? Test two. I think the music that you get from the boss fights and the environment are amazing. If I'm thinking of like the Inferno Riders combat with the metal, almost Doom-like soundtrack that they brought in for that, it just makes that fight so incredibly epic that like I want to keep doing that fight just to literally listen to the music, and it just brings you into the world. But then on the other side of it, they have some of these ambient tracks that come in. I can't remember if it's like the Dark Forest or whatever it's called, but they have this like kettle drum track that just sounds so like, it is a great track. That it is great. Exploring, you're not getting the same sense of like urgency and intensity that allows you to kind of like take in the world at your own pace. And I think kind of bringing all three of those pieces together make for like an immersive player experience. I think something that a lot of people have been looking for. I don't even know what to say to myself from somewhere else, if you know what I mean.
There's some nuance.
Okay, can we just I am gonna toot my own horn for a sec here. Welcome to Connor Strokes His Own Ego live on stream. That was 3:45 to 6:15, right? So is that 2 minutes? That's basically like what? No, 3:45, 2.5 minutes, right? Yeah, I went the wrong way on that. That was 2.5 minutes of straight talking without a single break or like line of thinking. That was like, I absolutely crushed that explanation personally. I might have been really distracting as we were going through that. So I apologize if you were distracted and you were thinking about that. You're like, Connor, shut the heck up. I'm trying to listen to you yap over here. But like, I was a little bit peek behind the curtain. How we did this is we weren't all in a call at the same time. Styx kind of met with us each individually as we were going through and doing this. And we didn't know the questions beforehand. So he only had the 2 questions for us, which was that intro one, and then I kind of like the main kind of topic of this video. And that was like, I sat there and I thought about it for like a minute, and then just like straight pure yapped for 2.5 minutes. And I was like, I don't know. I think I did a good job. Let me know. Let me know what you think, chat. Ones if you think I did a pretty good job. Yeah, that I don't know. That Connor guy was pretty handsome. Yeah, if he had a really cool YouTube channel, which he might, I think it would be really cool if you liked and subscribed on the channel. That would be really exciting. Or follow the stream if you haven't had a chance to follow on the stream yet either. We got a cool follow animation or a alert that's been finally added. So if you want to see the new follow alert, you got to drop a follow. Let me tell you. All right. Rehearsed, 100% not rehearsed. That was one take, one run at it. I took like 3 minutes to sit and think and then just went for it. And it was like probably one of the most well-spoken, pure 2.5 minutes of my life. Oh, pray. There we go. We got the follow. There you go. We got the new follow instead of that old, the doorbell sound with the jumpy. We actually got something that's like, look, guys, I'm a real streamer. All right, let's keep going.
That's this, right? Genshin Impact is obviously the competitor, but
the boy Yoku, Io's so freaking funny, man. He's such a good dude.
I feel like they're not competing with Genshin because it's Genshin. I think they're competing with Genshin because there's a sect of player base, myself, the Tectones, even you, where we wanted to play the game and
wow, way to keep me out of that, EO. I'm hurt.
We had anticipation or expectations for what we're building these characters up to do. And then we got to end game and they were like, we'll make them wait a little longer. And then eventually they're like, yeah, no end game. So it really let that player base down. Now it's much more casual. Punishing
100% there were so many of us that were when Genshin launched, we were so optimistic. We were star-eyed or starstruck, whatever you want to freaking say it. We were so excited for the game. We were so excited to get these characters and thanks, Prey, appreciate that. We were so excited with these characters to see what they were going to add. I remember I filled out every survey. I was like, oh, I want some co-op raid content or something that you can do collaboratively with other players, new kinds of end games to explore. And yeah, there was nothing after patch after patch. And then finally they did the dev interview. And then that dreaded dev interview where they freaking said, oh, we don't want to stress out our players too much, so we're not going to add any more difficult endgame. And then that was it. That was the death of Genshin for so many people because now there was nothing. There was no point in building your characters anymore. You built your characters for every once a month when Spiral Abyss reset so you could do floor 12 because it's the only floor that's actually difficult in any way, shape, or form. That was it. And then yes, if you're casual and you love the mini games and you want to do prop hunt in Genshin and you want to do that, then great. Yeah, you got what you wanted. But for a lot of us who wanted a little more there, we didn't quite get that. Hey, thank you so much for the follow. Greatly appreciate that. Dynamo. Appreciate you coming on in here. So you coming in as I'm just going off. I'm just mad. I'm just thinking about how much I was let down by that. And it just was setting me off for a minute there. Wuthering Waves is going to release and now Genshin is planning a new Abyss, right? The second that everybody started being like, hey, you know what? I think Wuthering Waves is going to be the end game that Genshin players truly wanted. It's like Hoyo finally heard that and they were like, hey, yo, what? Oh, shit. And then they came out and they were like, okay, cool. They're going to finally do something. Because then there was the recruitment for that other what was it? The other player content generated system. So people are going to be able to create custom games and stuff. They're recruiting for that kind of game mode that probably won't be out for at least another year and a half. They started recruiting for that. And then, yeah, now they announced that they're like, oh guys, don't worry. We're going to have endgame now. Just stay because don't go to the other one. Man, Wuthering Waves could not have come at a better time. Everything's dead right now. Everything's in dead patches right now. And a lot of us are just stoked for this. So yeah, let's just keep going. Let's just cook. If I keep staying here, I'm just gonna get more and more mad at Genshin. Okay?
Grey Raven, which is Wuthering's predecessor, they have a whole hardcore base. Everything
yeah, they do.
To the T, you need to be executing things perfectly. If you don't, you lose, blah, 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 blah. Finding a good balance in between both worlds to then provide Wuthering Waves the overall beauty of an open world game. Just don't give me an empty world. I'm totally fine with that. And then you keep it pushing. But there's a lot they could do with it. So they have the story aspect that they
we're gonna comment on that
more impactful,
that end game part,
similar to any Poyo stuff, really. Honkai Impact, Star Rail, Genshin Impact, even Punishing Grey Raven. I think after chapter the community will know, but it's chapter 8 or chapter 9, something like that. That's when the story really starts to.
Yes, sir.
You add a huge influence on that. You have the actual combat itself, make the combat very fluid, very good. give every character a purpose or reason to pretty much exist in the game, even if they're 4-star or 5-star. The weapon banner and the character banner, them copying the 50-50, but then making weapons 100%. There's a lot they're doing right with the game for both free to play and for spenders. And then everything on top of that, it's really just I don't want to say opium, but it's a lot of hope. It's a lot of hope. They have the right path if they stick to it. What I mean by that is just, as I mentioned before, the community aspect. It's one thing to make a really good game. It's another thing to make a really good game and then have the community behind your back supporting it. So
I gotta jump in because EO's also really good at yapping. I feel we're gonna get too far away from the point that I wanted to hop in on. When he's talking about PGR's end game there, the one thing that PGR does really well on its end game, and I think that can be taken for inspiration, is a lot of people were concerned that if like end game got too hard, that players would get pissed because, well, I can't beat all the end game, so I can't get all the rewards. And now these people who have like more invested accounts are getting more of like the premium currency to pull on characters and to pull on banners. Well, the thing about PGR's end game and like Warzone and Pain Cage, where you get those, for those you just need to participate to basically get all the rewards. With the exception of Warzone, there is like a bare minimum you kind of need to hit in Warzone, but it's not a minimum you need to hit against other players, if that makes sense. So like in the two different end games, in Pain Cage, there's 3 different bosses that you can fight. You can do 4 attempts per day. And as long as you just literally do all of your attempts on each of the bosses, you get all the weekly rewards for each of those bosses. You could literally go in, hit the boss, die, and you will get all of the black cards that you need, or the premium currency from PGR, from that game mode. You just need to participate. And actually, I think that's a good way to do it, because now there is a little bit of an additional currency, which we don't need to cover right now, that you could compete more hardcore for, that did come with its own benefits, but it wasn't a pure barrier from like a direct financial comparison, or if that makes sense, because you're getting premium currency from the rewards. Warzone is a little bit different. Warzone is another score attack game mode that's time-based, and you're fighting waves of mobs instead of like a singular boss, like in Pain Cage. But in Warzone, you just needed to hit a certain score. So it would be like the equivalent of like Memory of Chaos, where actually, yeah, is it Memory of Chaos and Honkai Star Rail, where there's doesn't matter what other players are doing. You simply just need to hit a certain score threshold, and then you get the full 3-star clear. As you get the 3-star clears, you're getting currency rewards for that. It's basically that. You need to hit, I think it's like in the advanced Warzone or the ultimate Warzone, whatever it is, you need to hit like just over a million or like 1.5 million or something, and you get all of the premium currency from that game mode. You get most of it, again, simply from just participating, but to get all of it, you need to hit that score threshold. But again, that has nothing to do with other players. So you get the advantage and like the push to battle against other players for that, like, because you want to like, see what you can pull off for your score, but it wasn't a barrier on the rewards. And I think it was, to me, it's a perfect middle ground for that. So I think it's great. It's weird that HSR is going to have 3 endgame modes in basically 1 year. It's only weird because Genshin still has not added any. That's why it's weird. I think it's great that they've done it, because it gives like, what I like is horizontal progression. There's a delicate balance between horizontal progression and vertical progression. So vertical progression is like, how powerful can you make your characters? And, if you keep adding higher levels, maybe they have a patch where now you can level artifacts up to +20 instead of +15. That would be like vertical progression, and being able to clear that. Horizontal progression is having more different modes to progress into. So I like horizontal progression to give more of a variety of gameplay as opposed to simply just vertical progression, because often, especially in gacha games like this, vertical progression just starts to deteriorate into dumb stall mechanics that are just annoying and or health sponges. And nobody likes a boss fight where the only thing that gets harder is that they just have more health. Then it's just a damage check. There's no skill involved at that point. And so, like, yeah, I think that's super annoying. Coolamak, what's up, dude? Thanks for coming on in. Did you see the thing on the Wuthering Waves site? On the Wuthering Waves site? Are you talking about Jinshi? If you're talking about that thing that's potentially a leak, because I think they took it down. Yeah, this is the Echo characters. Okay, so that thing, if you're talking about that thing that came up before, I don't think we're gonna fully address that once. Sorry, I had to spontaneously walk away there. I apologize. Until people don't understand that Genshin needs competition, not not to die. You're stupid if you just think that, but to give a better game experience to Genshin fans. But for that, Wua needs a lot of whales. Oh, Wua's gonna get some whales, I guarantee you. There's whales in PGR, and there's a lot of people that are gonna be coming over from PGR into Wuthering Waves. So the whales are gonna do that. I think it might have just been noted. Imagine only dropping one skin, sensor skins for other characters, making events worse as time passes and refusing to change the base game. Yeah, exactly. That's 100% it. Like, to me, I think one of the, just from a financial standpoint, I don't even care from a gameplay standpoint, but just simply from even like a financial standpoint, the fact that Genshin wasn't dropping more skins on the game is crazy to me. Like, that's just free money, because there's a lot of people that aren't going to be willing to buy packs, that aren't going to be willing to drop like, $100 packs, $200 packs or something crazy like that. But they would be willing to drop like a $20, a $20 bill on like a skin or something for a character. A ton of people would be willing to do that. Me, not so much, but other people for sure. Too lazy to fix any clipping from climbing. True. Yeah, I really want all gacha games to be better always for all people who spend and don't spend it all. She was censored. Like, who is? Are you talking about Shen? Did Shenhe get censored or something like that I'm aware of? I don't know. I don't know the reference there. But yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. I just wanted to do that quick rant for you, just kind of talking about like the end game, because I think that end game, those notes are important for why I trust in Kuro's ability to introduce end game, and I think in a fairly acceptable way for a lot of players. I think it's a good way to approach it. On Shen, I don't know what that is. The skin is worse than the OG design on. Oh, did Shenhe get a new one? Oh, Rosaria's sensors. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think it's like, honestly, I was like 50-50 on that. I'm a less is more kind of guy. So I thought it was fine.
In the case of, if we don't like, I don't know, Kakarot or Caltro, we don't like how he plays, we think he's too weak, whatever, and he's replaced by somebody else, anybody else, doesn't matter. If they're very receptive, the devs are very receptive to that information, like actual good critiquing, then they change it, or they mess with something, whatever. If we think the game is way too easy, they change it, they mess with something, whatever. That is perfect, and they've shown themselves doing that in the last beta, right? From CBT1 to CBT2, and then now from CBT2 going to CBT. Actually, I think we just skipped 3, right? We skipped CBT3. They had a private beta.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did a private. It's not an alpha. They did like a private CBT3 for like localization testing. That did happen.
So now we're going straight into the full game, and they've shown us through the dev logs. They've shown us through any type of the little live streams they've had, everything they've been working on. So a lot of community to developer feedback has been received very positively. I think that's the biggest thing that's driving them towards success, because the monetization, you're copying Genshin or Hoyo, there's no issue there. They have one of the best monetization systems, minus the weapon banner from Genshin Impact. So you're good. You have the gameplay aspect of it. The gameplay aspect of it for now is fine. I think once more players get a little bit more in depth with what they can or can't do, that's when we'll start to see a lot more complaining, if you will, or glorification. One of the two is going to happen. But
let's see, they just hate their players. So I gotta jump in on that for a second. It's Crapabono, someone in chat was just saying that they just hate their players. I actually am not convinced Hoyoverse hates their players. I'm not. The reason for that is money talks. At the end of the day, money is going to be what influences a company's decision, because at the end of the day, Hoyoverse is trying to sell you a product. That is what companies do. Now, it can be a passion product, especially when it comes to like indie developers and stuff. Like, absolutely, they can be something that they love to put their heart and soul and work into. Like, you get something like Hades out of it. Like, it's great. But at the end of the day, you're still trying to sell somebody a product. You can't continue to pursue those passions if you're not generating some kind of like income for it. So whatever, that's just aside. But no, I think at the end of the day, it's money that talks. And Genshin, although being eclipsed by Honkai Star Rail, a game from the same company, is still making absurdly large amounts of money every single month. They have no incentive to change. Like, it's literally that simple. If they think them taking the more casual route, which does require less resources on part of the company, and they are generating still absurd amounts of money, there's zero motivation for them to iterate and improve on that, especially when the company is now juggling multiple projects. Like, they're in the process of producing Zenless Zone Zero, which I guarantee you, if they have a developer team that functions in any way that I'm familiar with, they're probably shuffling some developers around. Often companies that have multiple products and projects that are ongoing, you don't keep all the same dev team on the same project. They'll jump around depending on what's happening. It depends on the company, though, of course. But at least in what I'm familiar with in the developing world, it's very rare that like somebody comes in as a Honkai Star Rail dev, for example, and they will only ever code and work on Honkai Star Rail. There's often they will get shuffled around. So with that being the case, I guarantee you they've got a large portion of their team still crunching on Zenless Zone Zero as they're getting closer to the release. So if they have zero motivation to make any changes because they're still making crazy amounts of money from the game, why are they going to change it? Why are they going to do anything different? It's been working. It's been working for them. That's why the only way other changes are going to happen is something else needs to shake up the market. Something needs to interrupt that flow of money. Like, and honestly, I think Wuthering Waves is a good catalyst for making that happen. I know, and I'm not talking like, I only want Wuthering Waves to do good, so then Genshin gets better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying competition is good for everyone. Let me say that again for the people in the back who just don't understand this stuff. Competition is good for everyone. Competition is what drives companies to innovate. It's what drives companies to bring costs down. It's what drives companies to find new ways to get their product to their customer in the best way with the best service, because if they don't, then somebody else will. It's literally that simple. We don't need to overcomplicate it. Genshin has not had any real competition. Tower Fantasy, when we tried, some people tried to paint it like that, but at the end of the day, Genshin Impact has never had any real competition. Fight me if you think that's true. I don't. Not in the gacha space. Are there other open world RPGs? Yes, absolutely. But gacha still operates separate from those. It's a long-term game as a service that is constantly expanding with new characters, new things that are ongoing. There's nothing that has come into it in that way. So yeah, I don't think it's that they simply just hate their players. I think they're just saying, hey, we don't have to do anything, and they're still happy. Great. That easy. The booba shot is insane. Are we talking about beside me? That's been there the whole time. Chad, have I been here ranting about freaking business, and now you're going to just sit there and look at it? And then there's the dumbasses who think that they're afraid that their game is going to die by getting competition. The only way or only reason your game dies from competition is because it's not good. And I'm not saying that like just at Genshin or Genshin stands or people who want that. Like that's just simply, that is just the law of the market. If you lose because of competition, it's because you're doing something wrong. It's that simple. And or there are other kind of market forces at work. Sometimes there is some market manipulation and crap that happens. But that's when the market goes awry. That's not the goal of the market. We'll just put it that way. All right, let's keep going before I get too fired up again and I start yelling at somebody else.
It'll be good for the developers. And then, of course, lastly, you have overall the community aspect behind it, the creators having that. And that's another thing. I think that's what I want to end off on, the developer to creator relationship. The developer to community relationship is very strong. You have to have that. But the developer to creator relationship is something that we've only seen so few gacha communities really capitalize on. Hoyoverse is, of course, the biggest one. I know they catch a lot of flack for, oh, they have secret contracts that, you know, they're doing with whatever and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but for a lot of creators, big or small, those contracts are life changing. You know, going from making what average minimum wage down here is like $7.25. So if I were to take an old check from when I used to work at GameStop and working 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, whatever, you're bringing home what, less than $1,000 a month. You know, if you were to reach out and be like, hey, we're going to offer you $6,000 to do exactly what you're already doing, you just only exclusively cover this game. Hey man, that's life changing. I can move out, I can get a car, I can pay for whatever. All these kinds of plans can start to happen, or start to happen. Furrow doesn't have to do that. It's like, you know, offering $10,000 or whatever to any creator, but having that relationship in terms of
Zach Crimson Prometheus, thank you so much for the follow. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, we're just catching up on this video. My part has already passed on it, but we're checking out what everybody else has been saying about Wuthering Waves.
Hey, we've acknowledged that these 12 creators are really pushing the community forward with content. We want to do something special for them. We're going to fly them out and invite them to the next beta, you know, to cover that, or the next update, they get to cover it a month early or something like that. We're going to give them access to the early betas so they can cover characters and make their guide content earlier for the community's aspect, or they can test characters, whatever. All kinds of things are possible. If they really master that and the community between the two of them, that relationship, there's nothing that could, the only thing that can stop Kuro at that point is Kuro.
I will say, and maybe people aren't going to like this. Maybe there's other content creators going to like this, but I think based on what is happening, I don't love exclusivity contracts. I don't. I think based on everything that's been happening with Zenless Zone Zero and some of those contract leaks, and I think how it can start to control certain creators, control the way they associate things that they promote and or talk about, and sometimes stifles their ability to garner any kind of criticism towards certain things, or at the very least, if that's not explicit, it's angled in a way that makes you uncomfortable to put that kind of like criticism on it. I don't like that. I also don't like it either from like, oh, we'll get selfish with this one. I also don't love it when content creators, thank you so much, Joker. Thank you so much for the follow. Greatly appreciate that. I also don't personally love it. Like as a smaller creator, it's really tough to compete in a space where there's like preferential treatment in that way. And I get like, that's like, I will fully accept that's like a, hey, like sucks to suck scenario. I'm not going to sit here and say like, if somebody else was offered that and they took that, I'm not going to blame them whatsoever. I think that gives you an advantage or the ability to access things earlier. I see why somebody would be motivated and want to take that. I'm not gonna knock them for it, especially if like, yeah, if you can get that bag, like I no judgment. But I do still think it's not great. I'm more of a fan of like one-off sponsorships. Like we want to sponsor you for this event, or we want to sponsor you for this video, or we want to sponsor you for this stream in particular. I really like that approach a lot more. I think it allows for more honesty from the creators and more benefit from the companies too, in that way, in that relationship. And I think that's where it should stay. That's just me. I think that's where it should stay. But I will say, to go off of what EO was talking about there, I do think he's right. One thing I think is super cool, if you have not played PGR, been involved with the PGR community much, when PGR would do their like half anniversaries and their 1 year anniversaries, and other special events that they would put on for certain releases, they would usually feature creators. Like, so for example, Rexlent has been featured in multiple videos. I think Marco Meatball was featured on the half year anniversary on the last one too. Like they'll reach out and say like, hey, do you want to say something to the community? You know, give them an opportunity to show a clip. Or like with the Wuthering Waves live stream that's coming up, like Rexlent is on the live stream and he's actually going to be featured on the English version of the live stream, which I think like that's so cool. Like he's got a really good long-standing relationship with the company and they're kind of getting him to be like engaged in that way. And in a way it feels validating as somebody who plays the game to see like that they're looking at the space, they're looking at the creators, they're looking at the community, they're looking at what they're saying. And by incorporating the creators in that, it feels way more collaborative. And I think that's nothing but positive. That's nothing but positive for me. Coco Goat Sar, are you, oh gosh, why am I forgetting her name? What is Coco Goat's name? That was the nickname for Ganyu. Jeez, I just haven't played so long. Did you play a lot of Genshin? Is that why you're the Coco Goat? Did I see the leaked contract? I did. I covered it in a previous video. If you want to see my kind of like overall takes on it, and some of the policies, like on the policies in there, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I was not a big fan. I was not a big fan of that. Crimson, sorry, you mentioned something earlier too. I do hope Wuthering gets a bit sweaty in combat. I want to lurk, see when people have skill issues by dying a lot to learn the mechanics. 100%. No, there's definitely still going to be difficult combat in Wuthering Waves, where I think the most difficulty will come from, and we'll see people doing this, they did it in PGR too, is people doing like solo no-hit runs. They're technically different. Like you can do a solo character run and, you know, still beat it. Like beating it solo is still like an accomplishment, but then there's you know, the no-hit runners. And I think we're going to see that in Wuthering Waves, and I think we're going to see there's going to be a want for that content for sure. Like one of the things that put PGR on the map was I think it was Blanc. Blanc had a video where he had Crimson Weave fighting the twins, which is a set of bosses in PGR, and that video blew up. That's what actually got PGR on the map after its launch, was like people seeing that combat get revealed for it. And so like I think 100% there's going to be a market for people who want to see that and who are going to want to enjoy that content. Like I'm going to enjoy that content. I'm going to try and do it. Like I got some skill issue. Let's be transparent, chat. I got some skill issue up in here, but I want to try and be able to push that. I want to, at the very least, do like solo runs in combat. I want to get there. We're gonna be going hard. We're gonna be trying to hit that. You know, it's gonna be great. Everyone watches that alpha video. It's kind of annoys me as that being the example to show people in PGR. I don't think it's annoying simply because she's in the game now, and like. You can still get that kind of experience from other characters. I would argue as well. Like Bianca Stigmata, 100%. You can get that. Lee Hyperreal is flashy as heck in that way. Crimson Weave, while yes, like what Blanc does in that video in terms of like skill is like crazy, and the way that he made that such a cinematic experience. But if you've played the character, you get that experience. Like I love playing Crimson Weave now, and I'm not even like the best Crimson Weave player out there, and she makes PGR freaking fun, dude. Like freaking fun. Before it was annoying, but now it can work since she's in the game. I still don't agree with that, because I'm saying like I think that got people excited for the game. Like for me, that got me like one of the things that got me interested to play the game was like, oh, this character's coming. I want to be ready for that character to come. So like, I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's good. Just popped in Tantrum FN. Right now, for those of you who've just joined in the stream, Styx here released a video, Will Wuthering Waves Succeed or Fail, where he interviewed multiple other content creators, your boy included. We've already kind of passed my part. Asking, like, you know, will you think Wuthering Waves succeed? And then asking, why do you think Wuthering Waves will succeed? And we're kind of going through some of the other content creators' answers here. We're just in the process of literally listening to our boy EO over here and what he's got to say about it. I think so far it's been a lot of good things. We also heard from Ufi. Ufi kicked us off, and then me, and then EO, and we're cruising along here. So let's dive back in and see what people are saying there. If you haven't had a chance to follow the stream, make sure to drop a follow, guys. We got a cool new follow animation that's available. It's not the stock one that was available there previously, so it's gonna be good. Crimson Weave SS3 makes the game stupidly easy. Yes, but you still need skill. I'll still argue for that.
I would absolutely love to see them really push forward.
So it's kind of hard to tell right now.
Okay, forgive me, chat. Is this my Ruby, or is it just Ruby? That's Ruby? Yeah, Ruby V. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, it's in the back. I'm so dumb. It's literally in the background. This is Ruby. Okay, cool. So we're gonna see
if they'll actually really succeed. But from what I've seen from the CBT to the dev notes leading up to it now, there's been a really, really good progress of like their growth. The reason why I say it's really hard to tell is because it happened with Star Rail 2. Many people said it would flop. They wouldn't even last over a week. But here we are, 1 year into Star Rail, and it's booming, you know? And so
anybody who said Star Rail was going to flop is just an idiot. Like, you're just an idiot if you thought Star Rail was going to flop. People are saying Star Rail was going to flop because it's not open world. Yeah, the game's going to flop because it's not an open world exploration game. Like, that's like saying like, oh, Fortnite's going to flop because it's a battle royale instead of an open world exploration. Like, no, it was a dumb comparison to begin with. It was never going to flop. Anybody who said it was going to flop is just an idiot.
Another thing was also like Blue Protocol. Many people thought it would dominate the gacha scene. But here we are once again. Blue Protocol is not really here to be heard. So it's a little early to tell, but leaning more into the ideas.
I feel like I tuned in a little bit on the Blue Protocol stuff. I feel like I've fully clocked out that. I feel like it's just like, I don't know. Let me know what you think, chat. Do you think Blue Protocol's DOA? Because I think that's very possible. Like, I feel like they've just like fumbled that release so hard. Like, Blue Protocol had an unbelievable amount of hype behind it. But then with all the issues that they've been running to, with all the delays that they've gone through, the fumbling in Korea, that things just got delayed again indefinitely. Like, I don't know. And I think it has released in Japan, and then it's been having some issues in Japan. Like, I feel like Blue Protocol's done. I don't know anybody that's excited for that game anymore. Maybe I'm crazy. Blue Protocol is like another anime MMO, gacha MMO that is being released. It was something else that people were kind of like hopeful to see kind of like take over Tower Fantasy and kind of like a Genshin Impact like experience. Not 1-to-1, it's an MMO, it's still different, but like in that vein, people were excited for it. But yeah, I just don't see that happening again anymore. There was another comment here. As a fellow PGR player, I'm excited for WoW, but I have low expectations due to being around ever since PGR's first global launch drama. I'm hoping, this is hopium, pure hopium. I'm hoping Kuro has learned from that. And I'm hoping Kuro learns from the pre-registration numbers and they're like, oh crap, so many people are excited for this game. Make sure the servers are ready to handle these loads. Like, I'm hoping, I have so much hopium that they do that, because I think even if they fumble the launch, while I would be incredibly disappointed, I don't think it would kill the game. I don't think a fumbled launch is what would kill a game. There's more that has to go into it at that point.
That I mentioned about the devs. From the first beta to the second one, the changes that they made was like huge. And then not only that, from the CBT2 to the dev notes, that was only like 2 months in between, and they made all that changes. So we can see that the devs are really listening to what the community wants, and they're making really fast changes to it, which is like a really good sign, because
they did make a lot of changes, but I know it put them in a little bit of hot water with some people. Like, a lot of people who are very like anti-crunch when it comes to like game development and stuff heard some of the things coming out of Kuro games, and they were getting a little bit of flack for that. But like, I mean, I'm just hoping the QA testers are just going, because they made a lot of changes in the last couple months. So I'm hoping QA is on top of things.
Taking notes, they're seeing all the critiques, and they're really like, they're not waiting on it. They're acting fast. So I think that's a really good sign that the devs are involved. Part of me thinks that if the game can deliver enough content upon release and And if enough content creators are covering it, I don't see why it can't succeed, because any coverage is good coverage, especially for a new game, especially. Right now,
content creators, just to be clear, content creators can't make a game, but they can definitely enhance a game, if that makes sense. Like PGR is a perfect example of a game that a ton of content creators were playing and enjoying, but it just wasn't pulling in the numbers. And so a lot of them moved on to other content because they couldn't, the general market wasn't grabbing it as much, at least in like a North American sense. It still does very well in China, don't get me wrong, but like from like a North American perspective. And so like that's where I kind of like stepped in, because I was like, well, not a lot of people are covering this, and so let's jump in and give it a look, shall we? But yeah, 100% of the chair is a virtual reference for sure. All right, let's keep going.
they're releasing like character trailers so everyone has an idea, and then when the patch actually drops, I have a feeling that they might do something within the first week to hype it up even more. Then of course, another thing that I want to mention was earlier in the past month, there was a huge drama, nuclear drama, controversial thing about how will Wuthering Waves hit the 30 million pre-registration.
No one actually doubted that. I'm not even coming at Ruby for this one, but if anyone actually was doubting if they were going to reach the 30 mil, that is 100%. I'm going to say Genshin stance just trying to just try and poo-poo on it. Be like, no, it'll never reach that. It'll never get that. Or no, it's botted. It's all botted, guys. Nuclear drama. Wuthering Waves is never going to reach the 30 mil pre-registration. No one actually believed that. No one actually excited for Wuthering Waves believed that they were not going to hit the 30 million pre-registration.
And it concerned a lot of people, because then they're like, oh my god, it probably won't even hit it. But it's funny because I checked the website right before this call, and it is currently at 29 million. So we're about to hit the 30 million mark. And
that definitely dates the video a little bit, because actually I think it's over 32 million now. Hold on, we can actually see here if we go back. Let's see. Yeah, we're over 32 million. So yeah, that's definitely a little outdated.
That's kind of insane, because it was just a huge doom post of like, oh, they're never gonna hit it.
100%.
Like, there's no marketing, there's none of this. But then the thing is, in April they released like the fun 10 pull gacha system, where if you share and whatnot, you can get like an echo for free. So that one was really interactive, because it becomes like a gacha before the game. So it gets people involved. People want to sign up, play the game, to collect like the echo that they want. So that one was really nice too.
I think it was smart, because it doesn't really cost Curl anything. You get a small little bump by getting a 5-star echo just to start off your account. But now you've got a ton of social media engagement. People are sharing it with their friends, trying to get them like a good, getting them the cyan heron at the beginning of the game, so they can just have a good active echo skill just to start the game off with. I think it was honestly a very smart play. Again, another one that people were trying to crap on, being like, 5-star echoes are nothing. Like, you're going to be swimming in 5-star echoes. Yeah, it's just a fun little beginning advantage, champ. Like, chill, we're all aware. But oh man,
and how they're trying to get the community involved just by having a little bit of gacha. But definitely the real deal would be like after 2 weeks, once again, if the devs are gonna give us more content, because I feel like 2-week period, many people go through like the honeymoon phase. Many creators are covering it, so it's a good thing. But then if the devs can add more content after that, then it can go even further, especially since Wuthering Waves provides kind of both towards the hardcore and the casual content. You have those climbing up the difficulty ranks to like, who can be the first one to hit difficulty 5, or like solo run. So that's hardcore, and then the casuals are like exploring, playing the game itself. So it has like a really good mixture of both, in my opinion. So
I think we've seen Kuro Games has 100% been adopting like the drip marketing model of like Genshin, and that's why we're already seeing like Jinxie dropped Jinxie dropped recently, and we got some splash art for her, because 100% she's going to be like a 1.1 or a 1.2 banner. Like, I think what'll happen is like the first 2 weeks, I think there's going to be tons of goodies. I think they're going to throw in some extra temples. I'm convinced. Don't spread that as misinformation or whatever BS. I'm convinced though they're going to have a successful launch. There's going to be lots of goodies, a lot of things for people to work for and strive through, and then they're going to start dripping. Like, yeah, after that 2-week period, I think they're already going to start dripping 1.1. I think they're going to have that there, and I think they're going to want to ride that high for as long as they can, and so they're going to keep that momentum going. And I that's what I expect to happen probably after that 2-week period. She is right about the honeymoon period though. The first 2 weeks of any gacha game are always like the best time.
I think Wuthering Waves has a place for sure.
Man, chat's just constantly going off about Tao cheese knockers right now. Holy moly.
I guess on the contrary, if many people, it's like the question of like, will Wuthering Waves do better than Hoyoverse? I don't know if it's gonna be bigger than Hoyo on the initial start, but I feel like they can at least coexist, and they'll always be in competition with each other, which could be like a good thing for us players, because then that just means maybe the game will give us more rewards, you know, to keep us playing the game, kind of like how Star Rail gives us a lot of rewards all the time, and that the devs won't slack off because they know that they'll always be in constant competition with Hoyo. I think it's a
it's not gonna beat Genshin, at least not right away. At least not right away.
So far from what I've seen, they've been doing everything right with the
CN Gooners are another breed. It's because there's like everything gets censored, so anywhere they can get it, they want it. So that's why.
trailers. They've been involved with the community, having the turtle dance as like a meme. They've been having the
Tectone is probably the only one who noticed that Nicole got nerfed. No, there was a lot. There was a lot of people complaining about Nicole being nerfed. An unfortunate number of people. Like, I know some people are just clowning on it for the meme, but there was a lot of people complaining about that nerf.
the fun 10 pulls, the web event before the game even starts, and we even get jades or like the gems from that too. The trailers are really good. I think they improved quite a lot. The last one was Lin Yang, and that was amazing.
I 100%, those PVs are killer. I still think the Sanwa PV might still be my favorite though. It was one of the first ones they dropped. That one and Danjin were both really good. I think I liked them more than Encore's and Ling Yang's though, personally.
The trailer was great, and I'm excited. They've been taking note of what the community wants, and they've been delivering for sure.
I'm keen to see what
Vulcan, resident Aussie. Vulcan is a great dude. Him and I have had a chance to kind of like talk a few times now and hang out a little bit on like Discord and stuff. Vulcan is 100% a good dude. If you got good dude vibes from Vulcan, from any of his content, if you have watched any of his content, that 100% carries. That 100% carries. He's a great guy.
happens to Wuthering Waves over the longer term, just due to it, I think it has a few little downfalls, and it's going to come down to how well the devs listen.
I forgot about Alto's PV. See, I always forget about that. Wasn't that literally the first one? I think Alto's PV literally was the first one. Is this a podcast you're reacting to? No. So again, for anybody who's just jumped in on the viewership side, so Styx put together this video, Will Wuthering Waves Succeed or Fail? Where he interviewed, I think it's 12 different content creators, asking them, do you think Wuthering Waves will succeed? And then asking them, why do you think Wuthering Waves will succeed? And I got to be featured in this video. I was actually in the video earlier on. If you're interested to see what I kind of rant about, sometime around like the 3:45 mark. I talked for like 2.5 minutes there. I'm chatting there. So if you're interested in what that is, you can go and check that out. Just while we're
Lin Yang, and that was
there
amazing.
we go. Just while we're here, I'm gonna quickly just drop into chat. If you want to check out the video, that's in chat now. Just want to make sure that we're linking that because you know, as a thank you to Styx for allowing. He always said reactions are always chill. I talked to him about it. So yeah, I appreciate him letting us do that. Let's keep going.
This trailer was great, and I'm excited. They've been taking note.
Wait, so we jumped behind you. Let's jump back in.
And how much they respond to it. I think it has a few little downfalls, and it's going to come down to how well the devs listen and how much they respond to feedback in the continued development of the game. I think they've done an impressive job at the moment, and I think the game's going to go crazy at launch. But for the longer term, I'm definitely curious to see how the devs keep it up.
I agree 100%. We were talking that before. We were talking about an Ufi section that like I think they're going to drop more drip marketing after the first couple of weeks because I think they're adopting a lot of that Genshin model. And I think they need to do that to keep the momentum going. But again, I agree that also they need to continue to listen to player feedback and keep that engagement going. But from everything we've seen, that's what they've done. So again, I think they're going to do it. I have confidence and hopium, some couple of hefty doses of hopium over here.
Say, obviously, it's just got like massive awareness in the gacha community. Like anything that is similar to Genshin obviously gets eyeballs. Everyone compares it. Then there's the whole, like it's sort of that thing that any publicity is good publicity. So people start talking about that. People get mad about it, but that is still exposure for it, and it keeps growing. And I don't think there's anyone who plays gacha games that doesn't really know about it.
Genshin stands in this way their own worst enemy because they're the same people going around into comment sections, leaving ridiculous comments of like, this game sucks. No way that this game's ever going to succeed. It's not going to be great. When it's like, hey, you don't realize that's freaking engagement, bro. You're leaving comments. You're leaving dislikes. Do you know likes versus dislikes don't matter from like a video reach perspective? As far as I'm aware, as long as you engage with it, that's good. YouTube likes that. So the more that Genshin stands want to go in and start bitching about things and they want to start complaining and going through all of that, like you're going to see the change. Like it's going to push it farther. It's just going to push it farther, guys. So keep going. Complain all you want. It's just helping.
Every creator I know is talking about it. So I think just due to community just awareness of the game, it's going to be a success at launch because everyone is going to play it. I don't see a world in which it doesn't become a success at launch at least, which, hey, let's face it, most gacha games are a success at launch because everyone wants to try the new thing. But once again, I think the other reason it will be a success and why it's so well received at the moment is because of the way, like, if we look at from the first beta to the second beta, like, they revamped everything, they listened to feedback, so they have that bit of goodwill with the players as well, and that would be the main reason I could see it doing really well, not just initially, but if they continue with that sort of that way of thinking, then over the long term, it could continue being a success.
Right now, from the
Yeah, absolutely. I think 100% he's right. Like, in terms of like continuing to invest, continue listening to the community, 100% is going to get there. But now we got the boy Loba Pixel jumping in here. What's Loba got that
looks
in?
of the way they've been updating their game, it all comes down to listening to the community and all the feedback. Yeah, if I could be honest.
100%.
For how long has it been since Genshin has actually made a nice quality of life update? It's been a long time. A lot.
Like, isn't it like it's been like 6 months or something since Genshin has added? No, I think it's 6 months since like they've added any kind of core story or something crazy. Like, it's been like an insane amount of time since there's been any kind of like real crazy progression in terms of systems.
A lot of people complain, but they just make no change. Kuro, I think, really is going to step in and make those changes that will satisfy the Genshin player, per se, if we're saying that, because that's the majority of the community that will be moving on to maybe trying Wuthering Waves. So I don't know. I think Wuthering Waves is going to be just with just how receptive they are from their feedback. With each, I think they're going to go in that with every single patch that they do. And that is extremely important. That speaks a lot of words with the company itself. You know, so they're really just trying to make the best game possible. Genshin is just trying to make the most money possible, you know? So I don't know. I have a lot of faith in them just from all the feedback that they've done so far.
Going off of what Loba said, he's like, I disagree a little bit in that both games are trying to make as much money as possible. But like I said before, Genshin has no incentive to spend more money to make more money because they're still making a ridiculous amount of money. Wuthering Waves hasn't gotten that yet. Wuthering Waves is trying to capture that market, so they need to make sure that their product stands out more so than the competition. So that's why there's 100% they have to make that investment or it's DOA on its own. So both are still trying to make money at the end of the day. Let's not mix anything up here. Both companies want to do that. I know where Loba's coming from. He's saying like they want to make money, but also create something, you know, for the player, a passion project that they can, you know, the developers and stuff can be proud of. I think that's more so what he meant by that. But I still think you got to keep it. Remember, a company at the end of the day. Wow, I can't talk. A company at the end of the day is still just trying to make money. That's their first thing that they're beholden to, and they need to, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with making money. Let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with making money. If you want to make money doing things that you like and you provide a service that people enjoy, it's good. Yeah, brain isn't braining. 100% brain isn't braining. All right, let's keep going.
How far they've come, how many changes they've made, and you know, my experience, I've already had my Genshin experience, so I was playing it during the pandemic too. And I loved it. It was great. I had a spark for gaming. I was playing it every single day. I even got burnt out, you know, and then just a little bit.
I got burnt out. I don't know if I've talked about it. I think I've talked about it a little bit on stream. I got burnt out on Genshin. I played Genshin every day, did dailies basically every day till the end of Sumeru. And then finally towards the end of Sumeru, before the bonus patch, if that makes sense, like I did all the core story of Sumeru. And then once I got into like the new region that was being bumped out in Sumeru, I was just like, I'm good. Like I've just finally like checked out at that point. I stopped doing anything at that point. Came back briefly for Fontaine to give it a chance. And I still haven't finished the Fontaine story. I haven't finished the third part of the Fontaine story, I think. Like I just can't, guys. I'm so out of it at this point. Like it just is what it is. Whoa! Aruzian, thank you for the raid, dude, and thank you for the follow. Greatly appreciate that. I'm assuming you just wrapped up stream. Hope it was a good stream, man. Appreciate you coming on in. Yeah, thanks so much. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone who came in from Aruzian's chat. We're currently working through this video with provided by Styx. So Styx did this video where he interviewed 12 different content creators. I think it's 12 different content creators, kind of getting their thoughts on Wuthering Waves. Will Wuthering Waves succeed? And then 2, why will Wuthering Waves succeed? This is a video that I was featured in myself, which is pretty cool. If you are interested to see what I said around 3:45, that's when I have my part. Pretty early on in the video. I'm a headliner in the video. You know, I There actually, I think technically I would be an opener. I'm an opener in the video, and they probably got the heavy hitters further down in the video, so people are willing to actually watch through the whole thing. So appreciate that. Yeah, I was yapping for 3 hours. Hope you enjoy your stream. I'm yapping for 3 hours too, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate y'all coming in tonight. Yeah, hopefully any of viewers who've come along here to join in. Yeah, I hope you appreciate it. But we're gonna jump back in to see what Loba's got to say. To see what they're saying there. Pewter Muck, thanks for popping in, dude. Appreciate it. First time chatter coming in from the raid.
By little, as they started doing these things, messing up Dea, like Dea should have been a way better character. I think. I don't think she's as strong as she should be. You know.
Well, Dea 100%. She was added into the standard banner, right? So like I think she was exactly what Hoyoverse wanted her to be. Thank you so much for the follow, dude. Thank you so much for the follow. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, we're streaming Safe for Work. For those of you who don't know, Safe for Work, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, stream every day on those days from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what we do here. However, for the launch of Wuthering Waves, I'm going to be streaming all week. All week we're going to be doing that. Dark XDH. Thanks for coming on in here as well. Appreciate it. Fontaine was actually very nice lore, etc. Navia is pog. True. I did pull on, oh my gosh, the Archon. I'm blanking on her name. I can't remember her freaking name. Fine. I messed that up. I can't remember. Hi, Zidane. Why can't, oh, Farina, freaking Farina, foo. Thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, Farina. I pulled Farina, and I pulled oh my gosh, the freaking other dragon guy. I stopped carrying, guys. I can't remember the names. I've been working on memorizing all of the Wuthering Waves characters' names because they also have some very interesting like Chinese based names. So I'm just working on those, okay? So I can get those locked down. All right. So stop trying to fight me on the names. I retired from Genshin a long time ago. Dragon Judge guy. Whatever his freaking name was. Nervalet, thank you so much. Oh, that's French. I forgot about that.
There was just like a lot of things that they were doing that I was not like liking little by little. And then Fontaine came out, and that's when I kind of just stopped. I actually stopped in Sumeru. I didn't really like the story too much. I was kind of just
same.
I was kind of bored of it.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no challenge, no parrying. That's something that I really want in the game when I play something. I want something to have me think about patterns in a boss, a good challenge. You know, I absolutely love that stuff because I used to play a lot of Kingdom Hearts, and that has a lot of that, you know.
Kingdom Hearts is the one series that I always thought was fascinating, but I could never get into. It also just seems like it has absolutely wild lore. I've tried to dive into that lore like 6 or 7 times, and I still don't understand it. Traveler was a side character during the Fontaine story. Yeah, but actually that just made me think about how the one thing, okay, we're gonna rant about Genshin here for a sec. The one thing that I think Honkai Star Rail does so well in comparison to Genshin Impact is Honkai Star Rail, most of the characters that you engage with and interact with in the story are the other characters that you like freaking the oh my gosh, Huoho patch, where like you get to do a bunch of stuff with Huoho and Gwyneth, and you get to actually engage with the characters regularly. You actually travel with the characters. You talk to the characters that you're pulling for and you actually care about to some degree. You don't do that. We're tired of talking to NPC number 32 in Genshin. Like, I hope. And we've seen that a little bit in Wuthering Waves too, where we've seen a lot of the interaction has been with the characters we care about. If you played CBT2, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of it is centered around the characters you pull for. If you're going to have a huge cast of characters, use the cast of characters in the story. It's not that hard. It's not that complicated. Oh my gosh. It's so dumb.
Oh, that's something that I grew up playing, and I've been trying to find a game that's not exactly the same, but pretty close to it. And Wuthering Waves for me feels like it's like that type of game that I've been looking for. And you know, I've enjoyed CBT1 and CBT2 to the fullest. Like I played every single day. I did not stop playing that game. So I'm ready for release. I think in terms of money though, when it comes to success,
at least the NPCs in WoW look good. That's true. I have once we get through this one, I did see that there was another video that was kind of about the NPCs that I was interested in taking a look at. So maybe we'll take a look at that one after this. But like, I just had to get that part out of my chest. It's just absolutely.
They're probably not going to make as much as Genshin. Genshin had the COVID boost. They got really lucky with that. They were just right place, right time. But I think Kuro is going to be successful in their own way.
Again, to give credit where credit is due. The other thing Genshin still had going for it is its art style was still really good. It was a polished experience at the time. It was very much leveraging the nostalgia and joy that people got from Breath of the Wild. And I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan. And so like 100% after I'd finished Breath of the Wild, and then now we're seeing this other, you know, service software as a service game coming out, or what is it called? Live service game that's coming out that you get that experience and it's free to play to dive into. Like 100%. They did so many things to capture the market. It wasn't simply just the COVID boost. boost. They did a lot of things well. That's why a lot of people liked the game on launch. But yes, definitely the COVID boost still helped.
Even if they don't make as much money as Genshin, but I think they're gonna make a pretty good amount of money too. Like,
yeah,
I think we might even be surprised on the actual revenue. I think we're gonna be very surprised on how much money they can actually make.
I've had this question.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to do well. Let's go.
Come up a couple times in just the community. It seems like a big concern for them. The thing that I would say is a lot of people don't really realize success can look different for a lot of different people. We could take the idea, I like to use this analogy of Fortnite, right? Fortnite is a huge game, monolith, in its space. However,
also, for those of you wondering, I am watching this on a slightly increased speed because it was a long video and I didn't want to sit here all night going through it. So just in case anyone's wondering, like, is this sped up a little bit? Yeah, it's sped up.
Valorant, Call of Duty, Apex Legends, so forth and so on. All of these games are very successful games. And so just because a game isn't Fortnite doesn't mean it's not successful. Oftentimes we see games.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about that. Again, whenever we're going to talk about success for how well Wuthering Waves does, the benchmark is not, is it better than Genshin now? That's not the benchmark. Like we've talked about. Even if it hits like 1/10 or even maybe less, 1/10 the success that Genshin can hit, because we need to acknowledge how big Genshin is. That is still a success. From a business standpoint, if the company can make back more than they invested into the product and they're making product, that is still a success. A success is not, did they beat Genshin in the same way that Final Fantasy 14 is not a success by, are they bigger than World of Warcraft? It's a dumb argument. At the end of the day, it comes down to the profits for the company themselves based on the investment that they've made. So anybody who's using that benchmark of it needs to be Genshin or it's a flop, you're dumb. Stop using that benchmark.
Games like, Genshin Impact, if we were to just be honest, that's the game that most people compare to, and they consider that the pinnacle of success. And so if it's not Genshin, then it doesn't succeed. And I would just say that analogy that Wuthering Waves doesn't have to quote unquote beat Genshin to be successful. Like literally they could take half or
I swear I didn't pre-watch this video, guys. He's literally going into what I just talked about.
A quarter of the earnings that Genshin had, and still be successful. However, I'm sure that's not the answer that most people want to hear. Most people want to get the nitty-gritty stuff. So there's a couple of reasons why I think that Wuthering Waves will succeed. And in all reality, and I would encourage anybody who's questioning this in their mind, you could take every single system that Genshin has. Wuthering Waves does not have a single system that Genshin doesn't have. In fact, it actually has more. Like you can do a tally. The only system that Wuthering Waves does not have as of right now from the beta is a teapot system, i.e. a dorm.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that is, I guess if you count the TCG, there is like the trading card game mode that they did add into Genshin, but it's like, does anybody play Genshin for the TCG? Does any of that actually matter? Like, no, it doesn't. And like the dorm system, while that is going to appeal to a small portion of the audience, that's 100% something that they could choose to add in at a later date if they wanted to. Yeah, no one likes the TCG. Everyone tried the TCG for 5 minutes because you were like, oh, this is interesting. What is this? And then you actually played it for like 5 minutes. And then you were like, this is absolute hot garbage. Shoot. Thanks for coming on in. First time chat. Appreciate it. Doesn't have the main thing reaction system. Oh, that's true. They don't have the same elemental reaction system in the combat. They have elements on the characters that you can still use, and it does still, I think, give certain kind of like damage increases. Certain characters or enemies, are immune to certain kinds of damage. So there's some degree of the element system that's in the game, but it's not 100% a one-to-one with like the reaction and combos. And I will say actually that if credit where credit is due, I actually do miss that a little bit. I wish there was some kind of reaction system. I don't think it's a make or break for me, but I do think that was a very unique piece that like Genshin incorporated in that. However, something to keep in mind is Genshin is now actually like kind of shot themselves in the foot with that, because everything I hear now is that Hyper Bloom is basically the only comp worth playing because you can do insane amounts of damage with Hyper Bloom. So if there's only one real elemental comp that's worth playing at this point, then what's the point in even trying to play the other ones, right? And then now you immediately just like cut your roster in like half, basically, if not more, of like characters that you actually want to pull and get if you're trying to clear the content. Although the game's not even hard, so like you could basically still play whatever character you want. But just like things to keep in mind.
However, Punishing Gray Raven, which is their predecessor, has a dorm. Also, Genshin didn't even have a dorm when the game first came out. As a result,
yeah, Teapot was like what? It was definitely before. It was before 2.0 because the Teapot didn't launch with not Sumeru, before Sumeru. Oh my gosh, Inazuma. It didn't launch with an Inazuma pot or area that was added in later. So Yeah, I think it was 1.4, 1.5 looks like in chat. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello, YouTube watcher. Oh, for the first time. Well, thank you so much for coming on in. Well, we're streaming a lot more now though. So if you like catching streams, appreciate you coming on over from YouTube. But if you like catching streams, we stream every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not converting that for everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. But if you want to come check the streams, going to be streaming at those times consistently, except with the exception of the launch of Wuthering Waves. I am going to be streaming basically all week. Just like if you're like wanting to catch a stream and you're curious if it's the week from when Wuthering Waves launches, I'll be here. So just come check it out.
There's too many reasons when you stack everything up. Like they have events, they have an open world, they have really cool characters. Obviously that's subjective, but nevertheless they have it. They have, just be honest, a more deep combat system. But then on top of that, they
early Genshin before Inazuma was best Genshin. Disagree. I think Inazuma was peak Genshin, me personally. I freaking loved Inazuma. I think the end of Inazuma too, the story at the end of Inazuma where we got to see like Kazuha and that whole scene, that was hype. I'm not gonna lie. 2.0 Genshin was probably peak Genshin for me. Inazuma was fantastic.
also have the ecosystem, which is something that Genshin does not have. So when you kind of like tally everything up side by side, Wuthering Waves is beating Genshin in terms of systems by itself. On top of that, it is a casual friendly game. A lot of people think that it's not casual friendly. It very much is.
Let's just remember though, more systems doesn't mean more good always. Sometimes it can mean clutter, and sometimes it can be extremely frustrating if there are more systems. All systems still need to serve a purpose, and a purpose to enhance the player's experience, not for unnecessary amounts of difficulty or to incorporate more degrees of currencies to confuse people, which 100% Genshin does that often. So let's just remember, not always does more systems equal more good.
Their hardcore content, absolutely. But like a smart developer, if I'm being honest, they understand that people are going to be like, there's going to be people who play their game who have never played Genshin or never played like possibly even a combat game. They might just be like, oh, Encore looks so cute, let me try it. Or, oh, Gian, he's so cool looking, let me give this a shot, you know? And so they're going to...
I don't know. I'm trying to think if characters could be a 100% selling point for somebody to try a game out. I feel like for me as a player, I can only speak for me. I have a hard time speaking for a market on that stage. I feel like for me, characters might be something that pique my interest in a game. If I see the designs of a character, I'm like, they look cool. What are they from? I 100% will always, the next thing I look at is what's the gameplay. Because like there's been some cool character designs in other like gacha games, for example. And then I look at the gameplay for the gacha game and I'm like, wow, I do not care. Like Reverse 1999 is a perfect example where some of the character art I thought was fascinating, a very interesting, unique art style and setting. And then I looked at the gameplay for Reverse 1999 and went hard pass. I do not give a crap about that. So like, I think character designs are good for getting interest. I don't know if they're good for landing a player.
Ease people in. A lot of people might compare it to Punching Great Raven saying, oh, it's not hard enough. It's like it needs to progressively ramp up. Like if you think about it from a business perspective. So like I said, there's just
characters are a selling point for people. A lot of people play PGR because they saw the alpha video. Yes. But was it the design of alpha that sold people, or was it alpha's combat? Because then 100% we go back to gameplay. Design is not the full story. Design is enough. It's like a thumbnail for a YouTube video. If you see a thumbnail for a video and it catches your attention and you're like, whoa, I have to see this. I want to know more about this. And then you click into a video and all of a sudden it's some AI chatbot that's reading off some BS crap about crypto that you didn't even want to watch. Then yeah, you're going to immediately click off the video. You need to deliver on what that design is portraying to you. So well, Crimson Weave will catch your attention. It was the combat in that video, and it was a game that looked like you were watching an anime is what made people go, holy crap, that's insane. Great style, great looking character, amazing looking combat too. But the character design is not enough. Like, what's that other game? Freaking Memento Mori is another gacha game where like beautiful illustrations, very unique art style and design. The gameplay is just like squares of like faces, and you just see numbers flying on the screen. And I looked at the gameplay for it and went, this is hot garbage. Why the heck would I ever do that? Why the heck would I ever play this? Like I have zero cares for Memento Mori, and I get ads for it all the freaking time. But again, gameplay is king at the end of the day. It needs to play well and it needs to look interesting or engaging, because art and style will only get you so far. I agree, because take Dr. Ratio, for example, that he was free, but he's a follow-up unit, a follow-up attacker unit, and it depends on whether you had the units for him or not. Yeah, like to definitely maximize his potential. Like you can always still appreciate, hey, look, I got a free 5-star character. I got Dr. Ratio and Honkai Star Rail, sick. Like that's awesome. And we can always, I think it's great to appreciate that for getting that from the company. But yeah, are you going to be able to maximize Dr. Ratio's potential with the characters that are currently on your account? And that may not be the case, especially depending on when you started the account. I actually I think 100%, a lot of people gave Hex Juice flack for her take on Dr. Ratio, when I actually thought she made a lot of really good points when she was talking about how like Dr. Ratio is not necessarily amazing if you don't have the characters to enhance him. Like Topaz and Pela, I think, are basically essential for his team. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't play follow-up attacker. I play dots anyway. I've played multiple dot teams. I got my freaking Kafka team, and then I've got my Acheron team because I don't give a crap about follow-up, just to be clear anyway. So that's fine. They gave everyone a free ratio, and then they ran Aventurine, Topaz, Robin all together to get all your money. Yeah, they definitely were trying to milk people with that one, for sure. But if you played since launch, it definitely wasn't going to hit you that hard. It was just for the new people that started with Dr. Ratio. But again, that's where it matters. Like gameplay matters. True, but show Yinling's burst to Akumer, and he will play Wuwa. I think it definitely is gonna help. It's definitely gonna help. That's not for sure. Him not being amazing after his nerfs is why he was free. I don't think that's the whole story. I think they nerfed him to make him free. I think that's more likely what took place there, so that he wasn't absolutely free, absolutely broken unit. Although he's still a strong unit. Yeah, he's not as strong as he was in like the earlier beta testing for him, but he's still a strong unit. Played PGR for the alpha combat, left due to the ping system. Yeah, not everybody loves the 3 pings in PGR. That is way more of a niche system. The ping system is not even hard. Just get the core passive. Yeah, from like Crimson Weave's perspective, orbs is like nothing, but there are some other characters that were really orb dependent, and until you heavily invested in the characters and you can manipulate some of the like starting orbs and stuff, like it is more annoying. That's like totally fair. I bump into that too from sometimes. Like freaking Bianca Veritas. Yeah, Bianca Veritas is super annoying to have to get the right 3 pings to trigger her core
You
passive.
stack the 2 together. It's very hard. It's kind of honest. It's hard for it to fail. Like if we're being honest. Now, obviously, there's going to be the people who doom post and go review bomb just because they
because the Genshin stands
find joy in that. It's very honest. It's sad, honestly, but yes, that can happen. However, when you stack everything up, as I said, it's just.
Everybody watch out. Google Classroom's going to go up in flames again.
Not really a strong chance that it will fail. And then the last thing, or rather that it will not succeed, because that was the question. The last thing I would say is the pre-registrations. Wuthering Waves has more pre-registrations than Genshin did, or Honkai Star Rail did when it launched. So
more than double. If I remember the numbers off the top of my head, I think Genshin only had somewhere around 15 million pre-registrations, and it reached the heights that it did. Wuthering Waves is now over 30. It's near 32 million pre-registrations. I think creeping up on 33 million as of right now. So like, that's pretty wild. Like that's a wild amount of people who are ready to hop in and to play that. So like, that's why I think there's a good chance. You
take that as just a building block. That's just day one. The game will do well and it will eventually gain more players. Obviously, there'll be like the idea is that there'll be a huge explosion and then the numbers will kind of settle down. But starting from 30 million, it's like, shoot for the, they say shoot for the stars and you'll land at the moon. And then the dude from the...
I think you flip that around. I think it's shoot for the moon and you'll land in the stars. Cause it's like, you miss your target, but you still end up there. Right. I'm not going to knock her too hard for that. It's an idiom. It's fine. Okay. I'm just whatever. I'm just dumb.
Office would say false because like in reality, you'll hit the moon first. You shoot for the, technically, that's how that works. So anyway, point being,
it's not how that works, like, but that's okay.
30 minutes is a great starting point. And so like it's
how the turntables. Thanks, Angel.
Honestly, in my opinion, it's a non-issue.
So mainly,
by the way, before we jump into this next one, with respect, I don't know who this is. If you haven't had a chance to follow the stream yet, I greatly appreciate that. We stream every Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to be streaming for the launch of Wuthering Waves. There's also going to be giveaways of 3 different characters on the launch of Wuthering Waves. I want to see who this is so I can refer to them appropriately. It's not Legions. Thank you so much for the follow, DarkXDH. Greatly appreciate that. It's not Kayonza. This must be WTF Milksy. Is that right?
All of our Honkai Star Rail accounts
WTF Milksy. I must say with that name, that sounds like someone who'd have an OnlyFans. I'm just saying, like WTF Milksy, and there's an X in the Milks. Come on.
Yeah, I think it will succeed because of its take on combat and just its playstyle as a whole. It just feels a lot different than other games I've played in the past. Everyone's just so used to like the Genshin Impact feel of things, and I feel like Wuthering Waves' spin on things will just change things up and dice things up differently. In that sense, I just feel like it's something to be added on. I don't think it would like completely like. There's no question that it's gonna like destroy Genshin. That's not really what I'm saying for the most part.
Wait, did he just say that it's gonna destroy Genshin? Did I mishear that? Because it's not going to destroy Genshin.
Saying it's going to help players that want something different. I know when I played it, it was very fun. It definitely felt different than Genshin, and it was easier to get attached to for me as a player personally. Yeah, pretty much. I think it's just a difference. It just provides something that I'm just not getting from another game.
Not only,
yeah, 100%. Like, there's not really much other than me maybe potentially misunderstanding him saying that it was going to destroy Genshin. It's not going to destroy Genshin. 100%. It's just going to provide, I think, the combat and open world exploration experience that I think people want more. I think with more of the open world elements that have been added with the wall running, the more involved combat that's not simply just skill swap, ultimate swap, which is 100% what Genshin's combat just turned into. There's way more complexity to it. So I think it's going to be good.
I see a lot of people saying that
frickin' Legions, man, this guy. Nah, Legions is funny. It's funny.
It's only going to cater to the hardcore audience. That could not be further from the truth.
Tectone's twin. Do you know how many times he's gotten that? He's gotten that a lot, especially when he gets heated. If you hear him start like ranting and yelling about things, you definitely see a little bit of crossover. We can just put it that way.
PGR, for example, the other game also casual, caters to casuals as well. They got ways for you to waste your and dump your stamina really fast. They got really easy casual events, outfits for like skins for your characters, the story.
I will say, actually, I do want to comment on that. PGR is so good for respecting your time that if you don't have a lot of time to jump into it, you totally can. I talked about some of those end game modes. With one of the game modes for the first few stages, you can just auto clear, and literally like for the first few days of the week, if you need to, like to save time, you can just auto clear it really quick and you're done in like literally a minute. Like literally a minute for all of like your earlier stages if you need to. And then if you just need to burn like your stamina or your serum or whatever it's called in PGR, there's always an event farming stage that gets added with every patch. This is basically what you use it on anyway because you don't need it for the story anymore. You just burn it in there, you get the currency, and then you use the currency in the shop to buy whatever the resources that you want. So like if you still need something to hold you over for a couple of days, at least late game maintenance mode of PGR really respects your time. Really respects your time if you want to.
Story in Wuthering Waves from what I played from the updated version is really good. Animation's really good. Voice acting's very good. Character quest was really good. Exploration was amazing. So I think that there's things in the game that the casual audience will very much enjoy. And even like the roguelike mode is pretty easy. They have an MOC variant like from Star Rail or like Spiral Abyss variant that's in the game that was pretty similar to like all the other games. So if you can do that as a casual player in those games, you could definitely do it in Wuthering Waves.
What was that game mode called again? I always forget. It's like Dream something. The Dream Realm or something. Yeah, the Spiral Abyss version in Wuthering Waves. It's a good mode. And actually, that mode is also done really well where like your first 3 phases, you only need 1 team. Your like second 2 phases, you need 2 teams. And then I think it's on the 3rd phase, you need 3 teams. So it's a great job for showing like character investment over time and you like slowly expanding your roster and needing more elusive Dream Realm. Thank you. Depths of the Elusive Realm. Frick me. I need to remember that. But yeah, so I think with the incorporation of that, it's a really good game mode. So I'm hoping that they kind of continue to expand with that a little bit.
And then they also have like for the hardcore players, if you want to shiny hunt your echoes, or if you want to just infinitely farm echoes all day because you don't have to waste stamina on bosses or anything like that, or you can go into your friends' worlds and farm their echoes. You can just keep farming them to try and get the best stats possible. And then they also have the hologram fights, which
something to remember. I think there's been a little bit of a misunderstanding that some people may not be aware of when it comes to the echo farming. You can farm echoes basically infinitely, especially if you're going to other characters' realms, and you can get more and more echoes. That does not give you unlimited XP for raising those echoes, if that makes sense. You can't, like in the Honkai Star Rail and for the Genshin systems, you can use duplicate echoes or extra or artifacts to level up your current artifacts. You can't use echoes to level up echoes in Wuthering Waves. You can only use echoes like as like the base artifact, or you can then recycle your extra echoes into getting more echoes. Like you can consume it something like 6 of them, so you can get like 2 more and continue to cycle that way. So yeah, but so you can farm infinitely theoretically, but you cannot raise them infinitely or theoretically. Yeah, okay. Friggin' Legion's shirt is hilarious. Funny enough, I was talking with him the other day on Discord, and he had another Gamer Subs shirt on there, and we were all joking because it kind of looked like Hex Juice. He's always got those ridiculous shirts on. They're so funny. All I know is I feel like I'd get in a lot of trouble if I was to wear something like that. Let's just put it that way.
Which is like the super hardcore, like Dark Souls-ish boss fights where you could get one tapped if you don't parry a combo string from the boss successfully and stuff like that. So they have things that cater to both sides, in my opinion, which is why they are going to be successful. And I know a lot of people say, well, you know, casual players can't do the hologram fights. Well, they don't have to if they don't.
The one taps too, again, because I know a lot of people are hyping up the difficulty. The one taps are going to come into play, especially if you're trying to clear bosses under leveled and or unprepared. If you come into one of the harder boss fights and you come in with a proper team, you know, you've got more of a tanky character, you got like a more like a main DPS, you've got a support that's doing some healing, you are still going to be able to clear that content. I've got a lot of confidence. People are dumb, but I don't think people are dumb enough that they're not going to be able to clear it at all with a full properly leveled team. So if you do have some concerns about skill issue, don't worry, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be able to clear that. But if you want to go in solo, no hit run or something, and then yeah, now you're not getting any kind of heals or something, or you're under leveled and you're trying to push that content, yeah, you are going to get one tap, like literally like one swing. It's pretty ridiculous.
Don't want to, and I feel like most
Toljan29, first time chatter in Europe. When could we play? I do not know, because appreciate the follow, Shanglong32. Appreciate you coming on in here. The launch is technically on the promo material. They said May 23rd. I think it's the morning of May 23rd, but that's like locally in China. So actually from where I am in North America, it's actually launching the night of the 22nd at like 6:30 or 7 or something. So in terms of Europe, I don't know. You guys are somewhere in between, depending on where you are in Europe. You might be like, early, like it might be like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something, depending on where you're located. So I would suggest looking into that. I don't know. I can't do those kind of time conversions off the top of my head. Sorry, dude.
Casual players in games like Genshin or
first time chatter, anyone know if rerolling is worth it in the game? I did a video about rerolling and about why it's not worth rerolling. So if you are interested about that, you can go and check out my YouTube channel. I do have a video where I cover that. And no, I don't think rerolling is worth it. If you want the quick and dirty, no. The only scenario in which it may be worth it, is if there's a very specific 4-star character that you want, and you like that's the only character you really care to play, then maybe. But other than that, no, I don't think it's worth rerolling.
Star Rail probably don't even do MOC or Spiral Abyss all the time anyway. They probably just try to
Xenon PWR. Yes, it's worth it. Fight me. No, it's only worth it if you are a masochist or someone like Vulcan who just loves the early game grind and the reroll. If you're somebody who wants to just like get invested in the game and to play it long term, no, I think you are literally just wasting your time with the. I think it's still technically leaks. I didn't know it was leaks when I was talking about it before. With the 5-star character selected, this potentially coming, that removes any exact need for me in terms of rerolling. If you can pick that starting character that you want, the rest of the time you just save your currency for the limited characters that you want. So unless you want like an M-tashed free to play god roll account where you're like, well, I got 2 5-stars in my first temple and you want to pull that bull crap, okay, fine, sure. But while you waste your time spending 8 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours depending, because there's no guarantees, trying to reroll to get the perfect account, I'm going to be clearing endgame. So shove it.
To see how far they get to get as many free gems as they get, and then they call it a day. So I think that Wuthering Waves caters to both, and not only that, but they also do things that other games don't. Like,
I will reroll Gion, fight me. I will fight you. Yinling Supremacy.
Probably going to have skins in the game. The co-op is actually viable, unlike.
If they don't add skins into Wuthering Waves, I'm going to be so salty. Actually, that's another thing. Somebody was asking earlier, like if there's anything that like I kind of like miss in terms of like switching from PGR to Wuthering Waves. PGR every time they introduced a character, they launched them with a skin. And then actually the characters in the game, as you leveled up the character, it changed their look of the character. So on a base character, they've got 3 different like altered versions of their base coating. And then they always launched with 1 additional coating that you could get along with it. Every character that's dropped. And so I hope that they do that with Wuthering Waves, because I think that's one thing that like I said, Genshin super dropped the ball on, was not adding skins. The only reason they added skins was because of censorship early on, and then eventually they got around to adding a couple skins. Wuthering Waves needs to get skins in there, please.
Like Genshin, I would rather just play by myself because it actually takes longer, waiting for people and queuing up and stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people how actual casual it is. Because
does anybody want a pro tip on co-op? If you are sweaty in terms of Wuthering Waves and you're thinking, oh man, I want to get those echoes, I got to push this, and I want to do this as fast as I can. There was some testing that was done on the CBT2 where if you were in a co-op mode with like a couple other players and all 3 of you were fighting bosses individually, and then all 3 of you beat your bosses, you could teleport to the other person and then pick up the echo from that boss without needing to do the boss fight. So if you have 3 people who have all got well-invested characters that you can solo bosses at those levels, you can literally be doing 3 boss fights at a time, basically. And you just rotate. Then you jump around, you pick up all the echoes, you wait for the reset, and boom, you do it again. You hit all 3 at once. So like there's some good farming strats if you're planning to go like super hard with it. Yeah, there's like some echo farming speedrun strats for sure. So just a little pro tip for you that came out of the CBT.
There's a lot, it seems to have this like cloud over it where people like, oh, only hardcore like Dark Souls players are gonna like this game. I think that's gonna be further from the truth.
There is the quality of the game itself is,
again, with respect, I don't know who this is. Is this Ryuku Sensei? I'm guessing. Not meaning to be rude. Yes, this is Ryuku Sensei. Okay, well, geez, what was flashing on there? Holy moly, my dude. So this is Ryuku Sensei. Not familiar with his content. So what's he gonna drop? I wonder what he's gonna say.
It's actually quite high, and there's a lot of interest in it.
It's gonna take a long time because bosses in co-op have their HP increased. I don't know if that's true. That's true. I think in Genshin. I don't know if that's true in. I don't know if that's true in Wuthering Waves. That could be the case, but I'm not 100% sure that's happening.
Particularly with how Genshin has brought such a game to the wide masses. I think there's a bigger audience for it now, so I think it would do better being released now in the wake of Genshin compared to how it would have done if Genshin hadn't existed. From what I'm seeing over here in Japan, whenever I talk to someone and I say, oh, there's this new game coming out soon, have you heard of it? A lot of people haven't really heard of it, like particularly, like I live more in the countryside, so I guess that's mainly an issue with where I live. But there has been a big push in Japan for ads for Wuthering Waves, particularly around the Tokyo Akihabara area. However, I think that's kind of localized, so people are in the area. There's also a lot of ads that are still up there, also for Zenless Zone Zero as well, so they're already competing for ad space there. But there is a lot of interest. I've seen a lot of interest on Twitter and on the Japanese version of 4chan called Nichan and Gochan. There's like 2 and 5. And it's a bit of a mix as well. I've seen some people saying that they're really interested and they're really liking it, but I've seen some people saying that it's a little bit too similar to Genshin, and they're thinking that if it looks too similar, and this is mainly a problem with advertising.
I want to jump in back on something that he said earlier. I was waiting for a good break point, but he didn't really give me one. So gosh darn it, Ryuku, give me a chance to react. But no, what I wanted to add in there is he was talking about how he doesn't think Wuthering Waves would have been as big if it had released before Genshin, but now that it's in the wake of Genshin, that it will be a lot more successful. I think that's true for gacha games, period. Like, again, always credit where credit is due. You know, a broken clock is right twice a day. Genshin broke the normie barrier. If you know what I mean, it's gacha games in general have been super niched to a lot of like mobile game players, or a lot of people thinking that like any kind of like mobile gaming is like those Match 3 or Jetpack Joyride, or those like Farmville, like those other like cheesy mobile games that people think is like absolute garbage. And gacha games kind of fell into that category for at least a lot of people, and I'll say in like Western audiences. That was a lot of the perception of mobile gaming. I know mobile gaming is bigger in Eastern markets, like in like Southeast Asia, in Japan, in China in particular, like that mobile gaming has been bigger a lot longer. But like from a broader gaming market perspective, that was not the case. It was like you either playing like PC games or you were playing console games. And kind of around the time of Genshin, we have been seeing more and more mobile games break through where games are being built or developed, I should say, for mobile and console-based experiences. And the market share that Genshin has captured, not only in Asia, but in North America as well, has 100% gone deeper into that, where at least people that I know who play games and never would play a game like Genshin Impact, I can say the name and they still go, oh yeah, like I think I've seen that before. Like I've got a general idea like that. Where like if I do that with Punishing Grey Raven, or even for a lot of people, if I say that with Wuthering Waves at this stage because it hasn't launched yet, a lot of games that I would say nobody has any idea, but Genshin at the very least is recognized. That's big. That's big from the broader market, considering the niche and the isolated area that gacha games exist in. 100%. That's a big deal.
That if it looks too similar, even though we might know that it's fundamentally different and it plays differently, if it looks too similar in the advertising, even if it is different, if it looks the same, people are going to think that, well, what's the point? Why would I switch if I've already spent so much time doing this? And if I've already experienced this, why would I want to go to that? So they need to make a big push and need to put more emphasis on what makes Wuthering Waves more special, what makes Wuthering Waves different. And I have seen something like that. On Twitter, there was something that they've just recently posted where they were saying, like side by side of Wuthering Waves and other open world.
I think you know what he's talking about here.
Waves, which is using the grappling hook to like speed through the land, get out of the water, where you've got this other one on the other side, which is like slowly like doggy paddling through the water and taking so much time. So
so I gotta talk about that. I wish he had pulled up the clip. It's such a good clip. 100%. It was Kuro Games picking a fight. It's a side by side. It says, other open world other open world games, and it's just like I think they used Encore. They used Wuthering Waves in both, but they had like Encore like just swimming slowly across the water, and they were just like keeping that clip going and how slow that was. And then it was like in Wuthering Waves, and then like you said, it's like grappling hook, sprinting up the wall, jumping and front flipping, and it's just like it's way more engaging. And 100%, everybody knows it. Kuro basically called out Genshin with that, and it was the funniest thing to see that getting circulated around on Twitter. Like a lot of people have been like complaining about like some CCs saying like, why are you trying to do this? Why are you trying to cause drama? Why are you trying to pick fights? And it's like, bro, Kuro is trying to pick fights. With that video, you think they weren't? Oh, it was so good, dude.
They really need to push more like what makes Wuthering Waves different, and particularly with the combat, the movement, and the animations and that sort of thing. If they can really push that, I think they'll do well. Again, as it stands up to this point, it does look a little too similar in terms of promotion. I mean, there's only so much you can really show in a video that you can show in a photo, in a picture, in a poster. Another thing I noticed as well is that a lot of people think, again, this is another split. I've seen on, like I said, on the 5chan board that the design, I don't know, maybe it's just like a troll, maybe it's just an issue of me looking at that particular space. They say that the design looks like it would be more suited to like over 40s. For some reason, I'm really confused, and they think the design looks, the designs of the characters look like they're aimed more at the older audience, which
I think that's true. Like the 100% the character designs, I don't think it's aimed necessarily at over 40s. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but 100% they are mature character designs. Hey, Louisa, welcome back. Appreciate you coming on back in here. 100%, I think the character designs have a more mature look to them. I think more mature, broadly speaking, not only in terms of, we'll say like artistic style, in terms of like the faces being like more angular, like looking more like adult character. But I just think it's like, because they are slightly less saturated. It's not quite this cartoony, vibrant like experience like you would see in something like Genshin, or even something like Azure Parmelia, for example, which is something else that's been teased as of late. That has that more like cartoony, I'll say younger aesthetic to it. That Wuthering Waves in its post-apocalyptic, like slightly more desaturated vibe, 100%, it's got a more mature like experience to it. And again, I think that's fine. I feel a little bit called out. I am not over 40, but I do feel a little bit called out on my birthday. So I'm upset with you.
I mean, I'm an older guy, so that suits me just fine. But I'd wonder if it'll do well with the younger audiences. So I'm a little unsure about that. But like I said, I think it will do well compared to other gacha games, particularly in the wake of Genshin, and with Genshin bringing so many people into this space and like playing these games, and with the growing discontent with Genshin.
100%. Also, hi Aubrey, thank you so much for popping in. I'm glad you've been checking out the YouTube videos. Glad you enjoy. Always love seeing some YouTube viewers making their way in. If you haven't had a chance yet already, because we just done a quick pause, make sure to follow the stream, guys. Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I think a lot of people will be looking for a new avenue to go through. Like a lot of people migrated from Genshin to say like Honkai Star Rail, but Honkai Star Rail is fundamentally a very, very different game, and there's still that itch that people want. People want an open world exploration adventure game, and I think Genshin could definitely fill that niche. So yeah, I think it will do well. I think it will do well, but maybe not as much as a lot of us may hope it will. There's a lot of things that are working against it that it needs to overcome for it to really to come into its own, if that makes sense. It needs to...
I'll say he's speaking more towards the Japanese market, which he's probably got a better read on what's going on in the Japanese market. It seems that based on what he was saying earlier, that he lives there and he's been talking to people there and kind of like getting that experience and that actual like face-to-face conversation and kind of gauging where people are at with that. Sounds like it might be a small sample size, though. I'm just going to put it out there that way. That I see what he's saying, and it's that maybe from a Japanese perspective, there might be a little more work that needs to be done there. But I would say from a Western perspective, I would disagree. I would disagree. I think it has momentum. I think they are closing that gap. I think more and more people are seeing the lead up and the excitement for it and are willing to give it a shot, to the point where like I don't know if the hype for Wuthering Waves would serve much more to benefit it if the game does not deliver. I think the game still needs to deliver. That still needs to happen. So at the end of the day, it's still going to fall on Kuro for following through on that.
It needs something that people can see at a glance, and they'll be able to see like, okay, this is what makes Wuthering Waves. This is what makes it different from the other games I've played so far. If it doesn't have that, if it doesn't show that, then it will be like it could take a while. It needs something that really shows that it's what makes it different.
The reason why I think Wuthering...
Before we get into Kayonza there, somebody asked me in chat, are you only planning on making one NA account, or will you make one on another server for some activity with your community maybe? Let's say maybe. I'm not sure about another server, just because I mean, like, there's a little bit with the latency there and like co-op. It's not super bad on just like solo play, so it wouldn't be an issue to maybe do on like another server. I don't know. I'll have to think on that. If that's something that the community would really like and be really interested in, I would say join the Discord, and then let's make sure that your voice is heard there. Here, if I do this really quick, I'm working on commands still. Join the Discord. Let me know that's something that you'd be interested in, and maybe that's something we do cook up. I know as of right now, I'm more interested in potentially having two accounts. One account that's just going to be what I'll call like an average player account, where like, yeah, I'm probably getting the daily pass. I'm probably getting a battle pass. Maybe I buy the odd pack or two, like, which I think the majority of players would have that kind of experience for. But I would probably, and then maybe I'm going to do like a 4-star only account, I think. So only trying to clear content with the 4 stars that you can get in the game. I think a little bit to kind of like prove a point. To prove a point to people, to show like that like you can clear the content with the lower end characters. Also, I think it's just like more interesting to see that like people in putting certain kinds of challenges on themselves and challenges on their accounts. So I know at the very least I'm looking at those two accounts. It might be hard to juggle a third. Fully. So I know other content creators, sometimes they got multiple accounts. They've got people playing accounts for them. So hey, maybe this is an opportunity for a listing for people who want to grind out a third account for me so that I can use it for events, but I don't have the time to work on that account on my own. I'll just put it that way. That's for sure. Rageshu came here to see what you like. Oh, appreciate you coming on in. Bid up. Hey, Connor's Slave. Hey, I'm not calling them that, although it probably would be for free, if I'm being honest. I don't have a lot of extra funds to pay for people, but appreciate you coming up in here, Rageshu. First time chatter, always a good time. So sucks I have to wait 20 days for Yinlin. I know that's honestly the hardest part, is going to be trying to hold on my pulls and not burn everything on Gion. I think I'm going to try and save up, make sure I have a pity saved for Yinlin, and then I might roll with everything extra on Gion. I think that's probably what I'm going to try and do. And then somebody asked the question before, who am I going to pull on the standard banner? Standard banner plan right now is Kalkaro, or Kalcharo, or however you say that, Kakarot, if you're going by his original name, but probably Kalkaro and Yinlin. I 100% want to run that Lightning team, man. Oh my gosh, I just think it looks so incredibly hype to run those two together. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going with. Like Sephiroth and then Vera from PGR basically reincarnated into Wuthering Waves. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I got to think for red-haired characters.
Wuthering Waves will succeed is because it's something like we haven't seen anything like this in the gacha space. All these other gacha games we have so far, including all the open world gacha games, they have like a recipe for you to beat any content, right? You build this character this way, you do this rotation, you build this team, and you can beat this content, that content, everything in the game. But with
So that I 100% agree with. That was one of the things that hurt PGR like crazy. So for those who didn't play PGR, PGR released like a full year after it had been in China, and they had gone through multiple patches and the game had been expanded off of at that point. So that by the time you were doing things in NA and you were like checking out characters, character builds, and like how play styles, everything had basically been solved at that point because overseas they basically had a full year to test every character in every way. There was nothing else to test. There was nothing else to explore. Like, do you know how hard it is to try and think of a creative build or something new to try when somebody's had a full year, a whole community's had a full year to test everything before you've even gotten the game in your hands? Like, the fastest way to kill a game globally is to release it early in a specific region. 100%, especially I'll say in the NA market. Especially in the NA market. So that's why I'm so incredibly stoked that Wuthering Waves is launching fully even on global, because now it's like almost like a space race where everybody's like kind of competing to find those to experiment with the new builds. And actually I think that's going to make for a way more engaging like viewer experience and a content experience for people, because you're going to see people come, oh, I thought of this, I thought about doing this team, I thought about putting these artifacts on this character which actually allows for this. And like I'm so excited to see that to be explored so much more. Absolutely. That one anime MMO that released in Japan first is doing great. If you're talking about Blue Protocol, everyone else is not excited for it. I will put it that way. Nobody in North America is excited for Blue Protocol anymore. I feel like they've basically killed their momentum. It got delayed indefinitely in Korea. So maybe it's doing decent in Japan. I don't think it's doing that well anywhere else. At least no one else I've heard say that operate. That's for sure.
With Wuthering Waves, you can do that, but if you don't learn how to play, how to dodge, how to parry, you're not actually going to beat the game. So it's a skill-based gacha game, open world. It's something that, despite what a lot of people are trying to seem like in the internet, like it's just a copy of this game and that game, it is not. It's a very unique game with a...
It's Genshin. Just say the name. Don't pull a me, because I 100% didn't say Genshin in this video because I turned it into a joke. I turned it into a joke, chat. I've called out Genshin so many times while we're going through this video here.
Very unique game playstyle. If you see PGR, for example, Kuro Game's other game, it is a game that it's not so popular, but it's still going on with a very dedicated fan base, because it is just, there's nothing like it. If you stop playing PGR and say, I'm going to play something similar, you're just not going to find it. And Wuthering Waves is the same thing. For people who like the gameplays that are challenging, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like Wuthering Waves. So that's the reason why I think it will succeed and it will actually last a long time.
Maybe this is my disagreeable nature coming out, but like, I could totally see someone saying, oh, I don't really want to play PGR. I want to play a Honkai Impact 3rd, or I'm probably going to leave PGR for like Zenless Zone Zero. Like, I could see somebody saying that. I know some people saying, well, no, the combat's not as difficult. It's not as hard. It's not quite as complex. Like, sure, that may be the case, but like, there's 100% a comparison there that if somebody wanted to do that, nobody would be surprised by that transition. In a similar way, that's why I think a lot of people aren't surprised by the transition of going from like Genshin Impact into Wuthering Waves, because there is crossover. So like, maybe it's like, because I think like I think it's just the statement that no other game is doing anything like Wuthering Waves has before is like, I don't know, that feels like a bit much. I mean, I still think from a combat, yes. I think the skill-based open world combat that we're getting from Wuthering Waves is unique, because the complexity of it. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, chat. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
The industry.
Oh, geez. Thanks, Sticks. I figured there'd at least be like some kind of closer or something there, but it seems like there was not this time around. But that's okay, man. Good video though. You know, my favorite part. I think my favorite part was probably around maybe the 3-minute and 45-second mark. Yeah, like let's check here. Yeah, I think it was around the 3-minute and 45-second mark, right about here. Yeah, this was a great part. This is a great part of the video. If you want to go watch those 2.5 minutes, go play that part over and over again. So when then Styx goes to look at the analytics, he can see, there's like an analytics graph. You can see it's like, oh man, everybody kept watching this part. Everybody kept watching it. Go and do that for me. Drop a like and subscribe on Styx's channel. It's a great thank you for that. And then he knows that it was worth having me on there, because it is always worth having me on. We're just having some good fun here, guys. But again, I linked it earlier, but I am going to link it one more time as well. Just linking the original video there. Shout out to Styx for putting that together. I think it's a good video. I think it's a good topic of conversation. And y'all want to talk about a freaking react? Y'all want to talk about a react? We just reacted for that for like an hour and a half. That was a 36-minute video that we had a 1.25 times speed, and we just turned that into an hour and a half. That's how you react.